you ask me, guys, we are witnessing a transformation in Michael that is nothing short of chilling. It is like watching a slow motion car crash where the driver, instead of hitting the brakes, decides to accelerate into the abyss of his own making. I have been tracking the subtle shifts in his demeanor for weeks, and let me tell you, the man we once knew as the moral compass of his family is rapidly becoming a relic of the past. The obsession he harbors now, the desperate need to architect every outcome involving Willow and the people tethered to their orbit, has turned into a dangerous game of cat and mouse where the casualties are starting to pile up in the shadows. We need to talk about Jacinda. For a while, she seemed like the only anchor holding Michael back from his darkest impulses, but lately the cracks in their alliance have become impossible to ignore. Guys, did you notice how she looked at him during their last encounter? There was no love left in those eyes, only a profound, terrifying realization. She has been asking too many questions, poking at the ethical holes in his grand design, and most importantly, showing genuine empathy for Chase and the others whose lives are being dismantled by Michael's machinations. If you ask me, that compassion was her death knell in his eyes. Michael does not want a partner, he wants a loyal soldier, and when he saw that Jacinda's conscience was outweighing her allegiance to him, he decided she was no longer an asset, she was a liability that needed to be erased from the board. I think we all saw the confrontation coming, but the sheer coldness of it caught me completely off guard. When he cornered her, the air in the room felt heavy, suffocating, almost like the walls were closing in on both of them. Jacinda finally said it out loud, didn't she? She told him exactly what he has become, a man who would burn his own world down just to stay on top of the ashes. That truth hit him like a physical blow, and watching the way his face hardened, the way that familiar, icy mask slid into place, was enough to make my skin crawl. He did not even flinch. Instead, he made a decision right there in that moment, a decision that sealed her fate in Port Charles and cemented his descent into the very darkness he spent his entire life trying to escape. It was truly a haunting display of power over humanity. Guys, you would not believe the speed with which he moved after she dared to defy him. It was a surgical strike. One minute she was a respected figure with a future, and the next she was a pariah, isolated from every person who might have offered a shred of comfort or legal recourse. He used his connections, his money, and that cold, calculated network of influence to systematically dismantle her reputation. It was textbook manipulation, and honestly, it was terrifying to watch how easily he could turn the entire city against her. If you ask me, this is the moment we officially stop rooting for the protagonist and start fearing the villain. By the time she realized what was happening, the trap was already sprung. She was a ghost in her own life, a target painted on her back by the very man she once trusted. What happened next was perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this entire saga. Jacinda, realizing that staying meant total destruction, did the only thing she could. She packed her life into a few bags and walked away from everything. I watched the scene, and I swear you could feel the weight of her departure hanging in the air. She left with a vow, a silent promise that she would return to pull the veil off Michael and expose the rot that he is so carefully hiding behind a facade of family protection. Do you really think he is safe now? He thinks he has eliminated the threat, that the secret is buried under the weight of her exile, but I tell you, he is dead wrong. By pushing her out, he has inadvertently signaled to everyone that something is rotting beneath the surface. We are already seeing the ripples of this decision, and let me assure you, the fallout is going to be massive. People are talking. They are looking at Michael with new eyes, wondering why someone as noble as him would go to such lengths to silence a single woman. The questions are starting to pile up, and guys, there is no way he can keep them at bay forever. Every time he tries to tighten his grip, he just makes the truth squeeze out from between his fingers. It is like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The harder he fights to protect his image and his plans for Willow, the more he exposes his vulnerability. This is not the end of his troubles. It is the beginning of a nightmare that he created with his own hands, and, frankly, I cannot wait to see how it all unravels when the people he thinks he has fooled start connecting the dots. I want you to really think about the psychology behind his actions. Why does he feel the need to control everything? Is it fear? Is it the classic Corinthos need for dominance? If you ask me, it is a toxic cocktail of both. He believes that by controlling the narrative, he is keeping those he loves safe, but in reality, he is turning them into puppets. The isolation of Jacinda was just a warm up. If he is willing to go to those lengths for a mere confidant, what will he do when he realizes that Willow or Chase are drifting further away from his script? The trajectory is clear, and it is a downward spiral into isolation and paranoia. We are watching a man become the very thing he spent his youth despising, and there is no one left to tell him the truth because he has burned every bridge that led back to his own conscience. Consider the irony of it all. He thinks he has won, that by forcing Jacinda out, he has secured his future. But in doing so, he has created a vacuum of suspicion that others are already rushing to fill. The silence she left behind is louder than any accusation she could have shouted from the rooftops. People like Chase are not stupid. They know something went down even if they cannot prove it yet. And once the suspicion sets in, it does not go away. It festers. It grows into a desperate need to find the truth, and I guarantee you the truth is not going to be pretty. The power he wields is a double-edged sword, and he is currently cutting himself on both sides, convinced that the blood is coming from someone else's wound. Is it possible that he has already lost the very things he is trying to protect? By acting with such ruthless efficiency, he has essentially declared war on his own integrity. If you ask me, he is already a hollow shell, masking his desperation with high-end suits and calculated smiles. We have seen this happen to so many before him in this town, but never quite like this, with so much cold, calculated malice. The people of Port Charles are resilient, guys, and they have a way of digging up the darkest secrets when they are pushed too far. He thinks he is the puppet master, but I think he is just a man who has forgotten that even the most powerful strings eventually snap under too much tension. Are we really supposed to believe that he can keep this up indefinitely, or is he just waiting for the final piece of his world to collapse? As we look toward the coming days, I want you to keep a close watch on how he reacts to the lingering questions of those around him. Every flicker of doubt in his eyes, every moment he spends checking his phone or looking over his shoulder, is a testament to the fact that he is not as in control as he pretends to be. The ghosts of his past are starting to manifest in the present, and Jacinda is just the first, not the last. If you ask me, the stage is set for a massive confrontation that will force him to decide if he wants the power or the people he claims to love. After all, what is the value of an empire if you have to destroy the very foundations of your own soul to keep it standing? When the cost of ambition outweighs the value of the heart, can any man truly claim to be the victor of his own life?